What's up, everybody? Welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome to Horrorfest Week 2 as we kick it off here on PCP Movie Night. And we are kicking off Week 2 with one of my favorite, underappreciated, undersung, and undervalued vampire movies from the 80s. Because we talk about 80s vampire movies all the time. Lost Boys, Fright Night. These are brilliant films, right? And there's even the silly stuff like My Best Friend's a Vampire and The Last Kiss or whatever it's called, right? All these Once Bitten, Twice something, I think it's just called Once Bitten. There's a lot of great vampire movies in the 80s, and one we don't usually hear about is The Hunger. Now, this is a movie that I first discovered like in 2021 after hearing about it for the first time on In Search of Darkness Volume 1. It's the directorial debut, feature film directorial debut of Tony Scott. I'm excited to talk about this film. It stars Catherine Deneuve and David Bowie and Susan Sarandon, and we got a great panel to talk about this interesting movie, and it should be an interesting discussion, including Jelani. What is up, my man? How you doing? Happy Horrorfest, bro.
Yeah, happy Horrorfest. We are back doing the stuff and the things that we do, talking about
this is our first non-franchise review of Horrorfest this year, man.
Yeah, it is.
So we're about to get into the nitty-gritty, man.
This is a fun one to watch. We're going to talk about it, of course, but I'm glad to be here to talk about it.
Hell yeah. Also glad that he's here for the first time on PCP Movie Night in quite a while. It's our homie, the Brianiac. What is up, Brian? How you doing?
Station. Yeah, doing good. Yeah, glad to be back. I'm glad you told me a couple days ago that I was on this show.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah.
I've learned that I got to remind people nowadays.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. You must tell us.
Yeah, no, I ended up, I had time to watch the movie, and I'm glad I signed up for this one. Good. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Ready to
Also, we got my man, my brother. I love this dude so much. It's Fable from One Collection Down. What's up? Who will be joining us during Horrorfest to do his own shows in October. So I'm very excited, bro. How you doing, man?
Oh yeah, man. Glad to be back. It's been a while since I've been on one of these. I'm really excited for tonight. Talk about this movie I've never seen before. I'm always happy to watch a movie for the first time with you guys and talk about it, man. Let's get down. Horrorfest 2025. Let's go.
Hell yeah, Horrorfest, man. This is one that I tried to get Dylan to do years ago, and I think it might be a little too artsy for Dylan. I don't know. I'm not trying to speak for him. And also, he had some problems with his camera last week, but we got visual confirmation that Brooks is alive and here tonight. It's Brooks. What's up, Brooks?
What's up? I'm back from the mirror dimension.
But you're in another dimension where
It's really vertical.
I don't mean like the
vertical dimension.
Yeah, the vertical dimension.
Brooks is fine. Brooks thinks he's on TikTok right now, man.
Gonna do the dances.
How you doing, Brooks, man? Happy Horrorfest.
Pretty good. This is I think it's a good solid starting point for a Horrorfest, like movie wise.
Hell yeah.
Kind of a different kind of vampire movie.
Oh, definitely. So last week we had I think a killer show, no pun intended, talking about the Candyman franchise. I really think that we were able to do a franchise review that only had 4 movies. So we were actually able to dive deep in each movie. In fact, I don't think we have to cover any of those movies again on this channel, except for the first one, because the first one deserves its own show. But the other ones, I think we gave way more discussion and layer peeling on Candyman 3 Day of the Dead than anybody else probably has ever done. But let's get into what we're talking about tonight, which is The Hunger. I got my Blu-ray copy right here. It's the Warner Archive Collection. The transfer looks amazing, but the only special feature, there's 2. There's a theatrical trailer, which you can find on YouTube, and also a commentary with Tony Scott and Susan Sarandon. So that's pretty cool. But I love this movie. It came out in 1983. It is the feature film directorial debut of Tony Scott, who we know is the brother of Ridley Scott. We lost him a few years ago. Unfortunately, I think Tony Scott gets overshadowed by his brother's movies. I would think, like Ridley Scott did Alien, Blade Runner, Gladiator, and so many more iconic films. And a lot of people don't really, I think, give Tony Scott the respect that he deserves, honestly. Now, we've covered a few movies on our channel here and over at Fables. We've done Days of Thunder. We've done, over at your channel, we did True Romance. There was another Tony Scott movie that we did, surely, that I'm forgetting. I want to say we did Top Gun, but we actually didn't. I did Top Gun as like a movie watch-along or whatever. But yeah, this is the director of Top Gun. It's the director of Enemy of the State, The Last Boy Scout, which is actually a really good movie. We need to put that on an Action Fest one day. I hear Man on Fire is really good, but I've never seen that one. But good. I'm a huge Tony Scott fan. And yeah, Days of Thunder. Is that the only other Tony Scott film we've done on this channel? Holy crap. But this is his first movie he ever did. Of course, Catherine Deneuve, who is, especially at this time, was a legend in France already. David Bowie, who was a legend already. And Susan Sarandon, who was already a cult legend at this time because of her performance in Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? And I personally think that this movie is one of the sexiest movies I have. And when I say that, I mean sensual. I mean erotic. I just don't mean like it's not like pornography, right? Where there's nothing left to the imagination. This movie has a subtlety in its sensuality and eroticism that I really, really respond to. I think the three main stars of this movie are the three hottest main stars of any movie, maybe any vampire movie, right? There's some hot people in a lot of movies, but I'm saying this movie, there's something about it that I remember one time I posted a picture from this movie of Susan Sarandon, David Bowie, and Catherine Deneuve, and they're all together and they're all young, so David Bowie's not in his old makeup or nothing. And I posted it up and I said, this is my sexuality. This is it right here. But I love this movie. I first watched it in 2021. I had heard about it on the In Search of Darkness documentary, the initial one, the first volume. And they talk about this movie. And the only two people that really talked about it was Cassandra Peterson, Elvira, and Don Mancini, who is the creator of Chucky, right? And he still guides Chucky all the way through. He wrote the first movie. I think he had parts in 2 and 3. And then in Bride of Chucky, he kind of took the franchise. He was the showrunner of the show. Don Mancini is Chucky, right? And they had really great things to say about this movie, how sexy it was, but also how truly horrifying it is if you really dive deep into what it's talking about. At the time this movie came out, it was critically panned. It was not commercially successful. It has become a cult film because any film that stars David Bowie, even if it doesn't do well, even if it's not received well, is going to become a cult classic, right? That's just the way it is. And it didn't do well commercially, but it didn't do well critically. In fact, I think Robert Ebert said it was like, I don't know, a devastatingly bad, boring vampire movie or some shit like that. Roger Ebert, the more I age, the more that we've been doing this, I think he's absolutely full of shit, man. On a lot of movies. But this movie's not perfect, right? But at the time, it was mostly criticized for being style over substance. And what Don Mancini says in the In Search of Darkness documentary, he goes, I disagree with that because I think they're misunderstanding that the style is the substance of this movie. That is the theme. There's a part there, but at the same time, Tony Scott, bringing the European sensibility, making it more art house. This is considered one of the first true goth movies, right? Obviously, it's got Bauhaus in the beginning. So I watched this movie for the first time in 2021 after hearing about it on that documentary, and I loved it. And then I watched it again with a group of people like a year or two ago. I loved it again. And this is my third time watching this film. Bro, I love this movie. It's not perfect. It's got problems. I think it doesn't. I think it has a weak ending, right? I think it has a very, very incredibly weak third act. But I think it's got strong performances. I think it's got atmosphere and mood. I think it is stylish as fuck. It is one of the first movies that feels like the MTV Generations movie, right? It feels at times like a music video. I think Tony Scott is delivering a heck of a vision, and I resonate with the theme. I think it's a sad film. I think it's a tragic film. I also think it's a very sexy, appealing, titillating, and cool film. Cool is a movie I would say about this. But I do feel that it kind of falls apart a little bit at the end. But man, there's so much about this movie I love that I was so ready to talk about it tonight. I hope we don't have a funhouse situation. Let's see what happens. Everybody else on the panel, this was their first time watching it. Jelani, what did you think about it? You out there in the chat, let us know what you think.
The Hunger. It's a conflicting movie for me. Like it to me, it does feel a lot like style over substance because the first 20 minutes of this movie is a music video, basically. It starts as a music video, and I'm like, what's going on? What the hell is going on? And then it picks up, but I need to have, like, you don't really have for the first 20 minutes people really talking or really understanding what's happening. And
very little dialogue in the entire movie.
It's very little dialogue. It's kind of slow in parts, but it is a very sensual film. So when you do get to that portion where it's really intense and very, very, very sexual, it still feels kind of slow to me. So I have my ups and downs with it. And the ending is, I'm sorry, Robbie, this ending is trash. They could have really done better with this ending. This ending is just like, wait, oh, bro, really? This is how we're doing this? I mean,
I agree. Like, what second vampire movie we've covered from the 80s that has a shit ending, like Near Dark? You know what I'm saying? Wait, you tell me a horse doctor gives her a blood transfusion, she's not a fucking vampire anymore? Get the fuck out of here, man.
Come on.
Spoilers for Near Dark, by the way.
But it's so much work towards the end. But like the build up to it is good because David Bowie is fantastic. I love David Bowie. I love the scenes he has with the violinist and Catherine Deneuve. I really like those scenes. I like that initial kind of thing and how tragic it turns out. I love that. But like, it does kind of fall apart in the third act. It's beautifully shot the way it's supposed to be for a film like this. I get it. It's dark and it's dreamlike and it does its little thing. And this is my first time seeing it. I did go back and watch parts of it. I didn't watch it a full second time, but I did watching it in parts again, to parts where I was like, what the hell is this? And then I go back and watch it. I'm like, oh, that's what the hell it is. So it's conflicting to me. I'm like back and forth with it. It's not a typical vampire movie by any means, but at the same time, I don't think it's trying to be. It's trying to be its own thing, and it kind of almost sticks the landing and then plops at the end. And you're like, that's stupid. Oh, that's stupid too. How stupid all this last part. What the fuck? So there's that. And that's it. Nobody can get it.
What? Did you say nobody can get it?
Nobody.
The fuck everybody in this movie. Well, the three main characters.
It's sensual.
But I don't know about the detective. What's his name?
Dan Hedaya.
Yeah,
it's Dan Hedaya, man.
Why the fuck is he even in this movie? It's like
I don't know.
Bowie,
he's just
police officer. Always get it.
I need to discuss
David
this.
Bowie can always get it, Fable. I'm right there with you. I love that we're talking about the ending, right? Obviously, and I like the ending of the film, right? What I mean is I like what happens where the ex-lovers, the corpses that are living, like they come back and all that shit, but it just happens so quick. And then the very final bit where Susan Sarandon's all of a sudden alive, right? And a vampire now, and she has her own 2 new vampire partners, right? That was tacked on by the studio against everybody's wishes because they wanted to leave it open for a sequel.
That's stupid.
Why are you going to do a sequel to The Hunger? Now, they did eventually do a television series that was more of an anthology that was set in the world of The Hunger. I've never seen any of it, but Tony Scott directed the first episode, which seems pretty interesting to me. What about you, Brian? Did you find the film interesting or boring, or I don't know? What did you think about this film?
Oh, I had a good time. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I didn't mind that the opening was the way it was. I actually really dug it. Yeah, I thought it was cool that they even had Peter Murphy in there. you know, I mean, from the Bauhaus. So.
But they had all of Bauhaus there. You just
Yeah, I
couldn't
think
see them, and apparently
he's
they
the only
were
one I
pissed-
recognize.
They were apparently pissed about that, bro.
Yeah, he's the only
Which,
one.
by the
I
way,
would
they broke
recognize
up
anyway.
like I think right after this movie released.
Dang.
Yeah, they did, and Peter Murphy went solo and all that. So, yeah, because I've always loved that song too, man. That Bela Lugosi's Dead. I mean, that's like I listened to that a lot in high school, which is a couple years after this movie. I think I'd heard of this movie, but none of the people I hung out with watched it. So that's probably why I just completely missed this, because I would have loved
It
this.
only
Back
made
then.
12 million at the box office, man.
Yeah. Well, isn't that a big year for movies too? 83.
Yeah, basically 82 to 85 is like primo, like creme de la creme 80s cinema, right?
I could totally see this getting lost in the noise of that, and also being his first movie. I could kind of see that when you said that, I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense, you know. But yeah, no, I had a good time. You know, if it had been like longer, I probably would have gotten bored. I mean, it was. I think it was a good length for what they were doing. So, yeah.
All right, so you liked it. You had fun with it.
Oh yeah, I would watch it again for sure.
Hell yeah. Do you think anybody in this film can get it?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Word.
pretty much all of them.
Including the detective.
Uh,
They can always get it.
yeah, I mean, can't get them all. Can't get them all.
You can't get them all. What about you, Fable? You get them all the time, man. So why don't you tell me what you thought about this movie?
I think I'm with Jelani a little bit. I am conflicted as well with this film. I wrote down some notes. I'll give you the positives first. I think it's shot incredibly well. I think this movie is gorgeous in a lot of scenes. A lot of transitions that I like. There was like this part where they pull up to the house or wherever they're at, and like the smoke illuminates the house. I mean, that was great. It's clear that the Scotts know how to shoot a film. Both brothers are really adept at that.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think it has a great gothic, opulent atmosphere to it. You know what I mean? High society in New York kind of thing. I mean, I wouldn't expect you guys to, grasp that as much as maybe me, but I can tell you that it gives you that Upper West Side feeling.
Aristocratic. In a way, right?
Yeah, of the 80s and stuff.
Yes.
I think it has incredible prosthetic makeup effects. I think for
Absolutely.
1982, David Bowie's aging effects look amazing. So I'll give it that. I think the music is fantastic. I think the music colors this movie in ways that it probably is not earning in a lot of ways. Like the music plays more into what you want to feel rather than what you're seeing, if that makes any sense. And I think it's very bold. Having a lesbian sex scene in it for 1982, I think is very bold, and I think was very risky. Could have turned a lot of people off, not us.
Which is crazy because in 1983, that's still what everybody secretly wanted.
And it's risque.
But
Kissing
it could have
a
turned a lot
woman.
of a lot of conservatives and people like that off at that time. So that's the positives about it. But ultimately, I think it has like a weak story. I think the story is kind of hollow in a lot of ways. I think it's very predictable, if that makes any sense. It's like I knew exactly where it was going. I think it drops a lot of themes in there, but none of them are ever truly explored in depth. I think the characters don't get enough characterization, right? They're kind of just there, kind of just bland. Things just happen. And then I think some of the story elements, again, which goes with the themes, don't make a lot of sense. Like they try to do this thing with the monkeys, but that's never really like, what the fuck is that about? Like, you know what I mean?
She's a geneticist, and like it doesn't pan out to anything. It's
right.
just
It
like,
doesn't really.
I
Bowie
think it's
goes
more
to see her.
I think that whole bit is more about showing the violent nature of primates. Right.
Right. But
yeah,
Why?
It's like
What's
why?
the
Because it's
point?
28 Days Later does the same thing, kind of in a way, like right, like Rage and
But they're the
Monkeys.
catalyst for the disease.
I
It's
get
not
that. I'm
what
just
she is.
I get that, but like I don't know. I get what you're saying, but I think that that's what they're trying to convey there. That
No, for sure, but these people are not. They're really not savages in a lot of ways. They do a lot of things very cleanly. But anyway, that's not the point. I just think it didn't make sense. Having her harem of fucking lovers in the attic, and the whole time David Bowie doesn't know that this is going on. Like this, he's lived with her what 300 years.
oh, I think
Yeah.
he knows. Doesn't he even say in the thing like you're going to put me up there with the others? He
Is
like
that what
doesn't
he
even.
says?
I think he says that at one point in the film. Yeah.
I didn't make that connection. And stupid things like a convenient earthquake and the freaking bodies that have been up there for the longest, all of a sudden they can animate, they can walk around when they were just like dead in the coffins for hundreds of years. A lot of things don't
I was
make
listening
sense.
to one podcast, and some of them were liking the movie, some didn't like it as much, but they were all like, "What's up with this random mummy attack at the end of the film?"
Yeah. It's like, I'm walking, earthquake, the house turns to the side. I don't know what the fuck that was about. That was kind of weird. But like I said, I think the themes of it are all over the place, but never fully explored. I feel like it's a lot about immortality and dealing with immortality, which I think is explored better in other films, like Interview with a Vampire, right? Like the whole immortality, not wanting to be a vampire, not wanting to live that long, needing a companion, things like that. Which I think maybe he might have even taken a little bit, because I know Anne Rice's book came out in the 70s. But it's just not as deep as that. So I think it's incredibly sexy. I think there's a lot of good things about it, but ultimately it's a mixed bag. So yeah, I'm conflicted on it too.
All right, Brooks, first time watching, first time I ever got to see your pretty face here on the screen in this format. So why don't you tell me what you thought about this film, please?
Well, I like this film. Like, it does have certain aspects, like I agree that it does feel a bit slow. Like, it is it seems more style, but I kind of like it. Kind of has like an art film kind of feel to it, but like a little bit of sleaziness in there too. Like, it's kind of like, it feels like an kind of artsy movie sometimes, but sometimes it feels almost like, like an old Skinamax movie or something. But
Ain't no Skinamax movie as classy as this, man.
No.
She spills the wine on her
Embrace the
titty.
vampire.
It kind of dabbles into that, like, setting wise, I think. Like, not like film quality wise, but like, just in kind of the setting of it, I guess. But yeah, it is, it feels very mundane a lot of the times, because like, with a vampire movie, you expect it to be like, there'd be a lot of action or horror or something. This movie's actually, it's more about the relationships between these characters. But at the same time, like I feel like it kind of goes in too many directions too, like a bit. I just trying to reach for like all these kind of different things that kind of shove a lot of things together. And like, I liked David Bowie's like old man makeup, except like, it doesn't look like David Bowie is an old man.
Yeah.
It looks like David Bowie turned into somebody else and then like got old.
Well, we never got to see David Bowie at the age of 150. So
Yeah, we can see him when he was pretty old. Like David Bowie has a very angular face, and I feel like they puffed his face up too much when they put the old man stuff on him, so he didn't look like David Bowie.
Yeah,
like,
towards
David
the end,
Bowie,
his head was like this
his
big.
skin tightened up as he aged.
Yeah.
But other than that, it does have like some interesting stuff to it. Like it looks very good. Like it's very stylized. It does kind of feel like when I first started watching, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be one of those kind of music video-esque movies, I think. And it is in a lot of places, but, it also does it does regular movie stuff too. So yeah, like I liked it just because, I like having my expectations subverted. I wasn't sure exactly what to expect with this one, but it went a little opposite of the way I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more horror-like, but it's really more like, kind of, it's different. It's kind of like it's more about like it's an exploration of kind of humanity through vampires, I guess. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. I liked it pretty well.
Yeah, and one of the things I love that you said it was different. It's different even today, but it was definitely different in 1983, right? Now I know that Anne Rice had done Interview with the Vampire. I guess the book was published before this movie, but like film wise, and that book is a part of it, but like film wise, and also this film is based on a novel as well, The Hunger, which I've never read. And I think the novels continue on some of the story, and maybe that's why the studio wanted to leave it open for a sequel or something. But this is one of the first times where vampires were. I mean, let's talk about vampires. We go from Bela Lugosi and the Universal Monster stuff and Nosferatu. We go from that into the Hammer horror films, and then by the 70s, we're getting some interesting takes on vampires, right? Like George A. Romero's Martin, the remake of Nosferatu at that time, and just some off the wall shit, where you're getting the waning days of Hammer horror and some really schlocky, really bad Christopher Lee Dracula movies. You're getting Blackula, right? And now you're using exploitation. You even Hammer at one point tried to use Hong Kong Kung Fu movies to reinvigorate their vampire franchise with the Legend of the Seven Golden Rings or whatever, right? Which had Peter Cushing in it as fucking Van Helsing. But, and then in 1983, you didn't really have a movie that was about the perspective or point of view from the vampires, and also how sad that existence actually is, like dwelling in on that. It is something we get in Interview with the Vampire, especially the movie. But at the same time, in 1983, not a lot of Americans are used to this European art house aesthetic, right? Which has been going on for decades across Europe, right? And I was listening to a podcast earlier where they were just talking about cinema in general and like American cinema versus world cinema. But think about European stuff. You drive 2-3 hours, you're in another country, another culture, another language, another whole set of movies and stories and folklore and all that stuff. Here in America, we're kind of isolated from that because everybody has the same restaurants, the same stores, department stores, the same everything in their towns, right? Like there's some differences in American cities and states, but they're not really at the same time, right? So to have this art house aesthetic applied to a movie in 1983 when everybody wanted to go see Friday the 13th and shit like that, right? Like it was definitely very different at the time. But I think it has a great cast, definitely anchored by 3 solid actors, if not performances. So Jelani, why don't you kick us off here on the panel? What do you think? What is your favorite performance / character in the film? What's up, Verno? How you doing?
I'm gonna pick the violinist girl. I like her. I liked her style. She was, I don't know what it was. She felt like she was the most like human.
The realest person in the movie. Yeah.
She felt like a real person in this movie. Yeah. It was like she totally got it. I wish she had stayed a little longer. It is tragic how she died, and I don't feel that she needed some more. I don't know if she needed some more fleshing out or whatever it is, but she was the most fleshed out character in the movie to me personally. I was like, I really like gravitated to her. She felt like she was a real human being. Catherine Deneuve was very just stoic, just very, very like a plank of wood to me. And Bowie is Bowie, but he's David Bowie, and I couldn't get past that. Something about that. But and Susan Sarandon was just lost in this movie to me. So I'm not that I'm trashing their performances. It's just of the people in the movie, other than Dan Hedaya, of course. She is the most human of everybody in the movie, and I really liked. I liked how she took pictures, how she was just her upbeat about everything, even though these people are like stuck up aristocrats. Basically, she is like merging with them very well. She had a great chemistry with everyone when she was in the room. Once she was gone, you could tell there was no chemistry with anyone else. To me personally. And I really liked her a lot, and I think she was like, she reminded me of somebody like she was a soap opera lady or something. She had done some soap opera or something.
Okay.
So she reminded me of a lot of things. That too. And I was like, I know her from somewhere. But I know it was a soap opera that I saw in college. I'm pretty sure. So, but yeah, I pick her. She was
All right.
cool.
That's a good pick. What about you, Brian? Where are you at?
I thought that characterization or characters were probably the weakest part of this movie. I mean, if you're going to say it's style over substance, that's the substance I think that was missing. I still think there was, themes explored and things like that and everything, but that was just the weakest part to me. So like, I don't know. Can I go with Second Phone Goon, played by Willem Dafoe?
Yes, you can. Because
Okay.
Willem Dafoe's in this movie.
I got super excited when I saw him, man.
Me too.
And then
Yeah,
he
Willem
doesn't
Dafoe.
show up again.
He did nothing else in the movie. I was,
like 3
I
seconds.
was super mad about that.
Yeah, I know. It
was like, wait a
was like a
minute,
roller
Willem
coaster,
Dafoe's
right?
this?
You're like, fuck yeah, Willem Dafoe, but then it's like no more, So
Hell yeah.
That was
Well,
disappointing.
I think that's a good choice, honestly.
thank you.
And I'm glad that somebody brought up that Willem Dafoe was in this movie, because every time I watch this movie, I forget that Willem Dafoe's in it, and he randomly pops up, and he's like, "Hey, bitch, get off the phone," or whatever it is. And I was just like,
Yeah.
"What the hell, man? That's
It's the
fucking
best part of the
awesome."
third act, right?
No shit. And it's him. It's like it's the era of him and Fearless, right? Like that greaser,
Yeah.
like biker kind of fucking Willem Dafoe. What about you, Fable? What's a performance you want to highlight? And we got some good ones left, man.
I'm gonna go with Catherine Deneuve as Miriam. The reason why I'm going with her, I do agree with what Jelani said about her being very stoic, but I think her performance is spot on for a person that might have lived thousands of years. A person that
I'm glad you picked up on that. Other people think hundreds, no, thousands. We're talking about
Thousands of
ancient
years.
Egypt is where she's
Yeah.
from, right? Yeah.
she
She got a little pale since then, by the way, though.
right. She hides her emotions very well. You know that she does care for her lovers. You know that she longs for companionship. You know that she's vicious, right? Like she can be vicious. But she plays it off real well, because after a few thousand years, I mean, this is what I loved about Anne Rice's interview with a vampire, is that there's a scene where there's a part in that movie where Louis, Brad Pitt, goes to the old world, right? And Antonio Banderas begs Louis to stay with him because he's lost his humanity after living so long. And I think that's her whole stick in this movie, is that she's kind of like holding on to humanity through her lovers and through her companions. And you can see that in her eyes and in her motion and in her body language, but not so much in what she says, right? Like she's not very loud. She's not very, crazy about it, but you can tell that there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of like history in her. So I liked her performance, but I agree ultimately with you guys that the characters are just not explored enough. Like, when they show her biting the girl in the Egyptian thing, I would have liked to see those scenes extended, or her with David Bowie back in wherever, the French Quarter, wherever they were 400 years ago when they were in the barn and they met for the first time. Things like that, I would have liked to seen a lot more of that, if that makes sense. So, but I do like her performance. I think that's exactly how somebody would act after living that long.
Yeah. She's like a femme fatale a little bit in this film, right? Very deadly, very stoic, very measured, but at the same time boiling over with emotion and loss and tragedy, man. And I get what you're saying about wanting some things extended, but one of the things I like about this film is the lack of exposition, right? They show and they don't tell, and you can piece it all together, and it's up to you. I mean, if you want to elaborate on it, like fucking write some fan fiction, bro. What happens in ancient Egypt, whatever, Joe was supposed to be here, but Joe got invited to go see Exorcist the musical. That sounds crazy as fuck.
What?
He lives in New York. They do shit like that.
We sure do.
And I'm sure if Joe was here, I don't know what he thinks about the film, because he did watch the film, but I don't know what he thinks about it. But what I would say is a quote from him, like, this movie doesn't treat you like an idiot, right? It does show It doesn't feel the over need to explain until maybe the very tail end. Then maybe they over explain.
Yeah, but it'd make you it would make you relate more or not relate or feel more for these people's plights rather than just a series of events, right? Like, so I think
get you, but then you got to
here,
go through an hour and 45 or an hour and 50 of a long extended music video, man.
I actually agree with Brainiac. I think a little longer would have done this movie a little justice, and maybe
I think
a little
Brian
cutting.
said a little less time probably would be better, right?
I meant because of the way it, like, partly because of like the characterization, there just wasn't that much there.
Yeah, exactly.
For that,
That's
like,
what I'm saying. Yeah,
That's why I was like,
Nothing's fleshed out.
right.
Okay. No, I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. What about you, Brooks? It's character / performance you want to highlight?
I liked Susan Sarandon's character in this movie. Like she kind of gets relegated to like the background until the second half of the movie. Like after Bowie's character is out of the way, and then the Catherine Deneuve moves on to her. But I thought she did pretty good. Like, I do agree that the characters weren't delved into as much as they could have been. And, even she's kind of like falls a little bit of victim to that. But, you do get some stuff where, she's a researcher. And like, because of the nature of what she's researching, like she gets these kind of weird cranks bother her sometimes. And, it's like, I like the fact that, she's introduced into this situation, basically learning about like, the horrifying truth behind like this lady, basically turning these guys into like immortals. And then, but they're not really immortal. It's like they kind of are. Cause I guess they're still alive.
Well, they are immortal. Yeah.
They're quite immortal.
They just don't stay young forever.
Yeah, I think that's like that's where the horror in this movie comes from. Is like that these guys are just like stuck in this tomb alive and just can't do anything. And
Bro,
like
one of the creepiest moments to me in this movie is when she's putting John away and she goes, she talks to her other ones and she goes, keep him company tonight on his first night. I'm like, just imagine sitting in a fucking box for
awful.
fucking 800 years, if not more. You're just a skeleton. They're just, when they come out, some of them are just skeletons, man. That's fucked up, dude.
This is the worst vampire power ever. Like, this is the worst. Like, you're supposed to be a fucking, there are cool vampires out there, and I can't be a cool vampire. No, I get super old, super fast. Not only that, I'm still alive, and you put me in a coffin.
It's because you're not a pure blood. You were merely turned.
Yeah, really turned.
It makes more sense why he freaks out so much when his hair starts falling out. Like when it first starts, like, man, he's kind of overreacting a little bit. It's like, how sometimes like certain guys, like, they'll start to notice that they're balding or something, and they'll start freaking out. Kind of feels like it's that first, but then he's like, oh no, he knew what was coming, and like, it was worse. It was worse than I thought. But yeah,
200 years to figure it out. That's all I'm saying. I've been, like, researching the shit out of that. I've been on Susan Sarandon's ass at the beginning. Like
he also was like the opposite of what like other characters would be, like a Louis or Susan Sarandon, where they can't see themselves as murderers for eternity and stuff like that. He embraced his vampirism, right? Like he wanted to be young forever. He even was like pissed at her, like, you said forever and ever, right? Forever and ever. And it just wasn't that way for him, and he was panicking, man.
And one of the crazy things to me, though, is I feel like it's not about the fact that he wanted to be young forever or anything like that. I think he wanted his love forever. He wanted his love to last forever, right? And now, and to add to the fact that he's aging and he knows his fate, but to be so easily tossed aside. And he even like, says, no! Like, who's next? Have you already thought about who's after me? Right? Like, he knows the deal, man. Oh,
he knew it was the girl.
That's the scariest shit to me.
Next step.
But Brooks, I'm glad you mentioned. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but when he knew that he couldn't live forever, he wanted to die.
Oh fuck yeah!
You know
Kill
what I mean?
Me.
Like,
release me. You said forever. You lied. Anyway, Brooks, I'm glad you mentioned Sarah, played by Susan Sarandon. I really like her character. She's frantic. I feel like she's coked out throughout most of the movie. Not the actor, but the character, right? But she's going through some shit in this movie, man. She really, really is. So that leaves me with who I would have picked to begin with, David Bowie. I think David Bowie is a better actor than people give him credit for, but it has to be the right movie. Labyrinth, a perfect film for him. Man Who Fell to Earth, a perfect film for him. His little bit in Zoolander, more than perfect for him, right? And I think he plays this well, man. He's kind of got this like aristocratic, like British kind of swag to him. And it comes across even in when he's majorly pissed off, when Susan Sarandon's character, Sarah, basically fools him into waiting in that waiting room for fucking hours as he ages like 50 fucking years, right? Like he maintains this politeness even when he's telling her to fuck off, right? And I really love that about him in this movie. And some of the chilling bits, once you know the movie, when you rewatch it, when they're in the shower after they have their first kill, and he looks at her and he says, or the first kill in the movie that we see, when he goes, forever and ever, right? And there's just something so dreamlike, mesmerizing about just his delivery and the way I really think that the editing and the cinematography help a lot of the performances, right? And it just astounds me. Also a nice shout out to Susan's boyfriend, I guess, the other scientist who has that dinner with her and is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, all that shit. Like, I don't know. I kind of like him.
Me mad, by the way.
Yeah, that guy is a jerk.
He's one of the Transylvanians, by the way, in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
So there's a little
If
connection.
I couldn't eat steak anymore, I'd be pissed.
I was going to say,
Well, she can't eat anymore. That's the whole bit, right?
Yeah.
One cameo you missed was David Bowie's in The Office, like the British one. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm
he's
sure he's
in the
done other
British
cameos, man. Other movies.
Yeah, but that one was awesome.
All right. Okay.
just
I'm Afraid of Americans with Trent Reznor. That's great. That's a great music video, right? You know what's cool about David Bowie? It's like he's like Madonna. He would redefine his look every like 8 to 10 years to keep up with like style and freshness, and it never felt old. And I guess unfortunately, he passed before it did feel old, like it's going on with Madonna right now, where it's like,
Right.
come on, Madonna.
He just has an attractive quality to him. You just
He's-
attracted him. He
he's
doesn't
fucking-
really.
He's one of the sexiest men that's ever existed, man.
The way he
He's
talks,
Bowie.
the way he walks around, it's just he just steals that energy in the room for sure. Like, you know, it's kind of sad he wasn't in more stuff and become more of a bigger actor, because he definitely had it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk about the style and structure of this film. First of all, style. There's nothing wrong with the style of this film. This movie is style. Style might be the theme. Trying to live forever. You got to keep up with the styles. You got to do this. Think about this in the opening scene, the dance club scene, right? Bauhaus is fucking up there in a cage singing about Bela Lugosi dead. And what a crazy use of music there, by the way. And I know we're going to get to music, but the old vampire movie is dead. This is the new vampire, right? And I think this movie has a dramatic influence on something even, not just Interview with the Vampires film, but Near Dark. I think there's an element to that where we start. This is one of the first movies where we get into how tragic it might be to be a vampire, right? So that being said, the style, man, the cinematography is beautiful. The shadow, the use of black, the use of shadow, the use of color, mostly blue, and it makes the blood really pop out. The movie has this cold, cool aesthetic and removed. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Think about that opening scene. Bowie's wearing like a black wig. They're almost playing characters to still be hip and relevant or something, right? And talk about some favorite actors. That chick that Bowie winds up killing in that first scene. Oh, what else is she in? Okay, I want to
She's
see
in other stuff,
her
but
too.
she's never naked again.
I don't care, man. I really like that, man. Well, she gets
She's
got,
been in
man.
a lot of stuff. She's like a character actress. I keep forgetting her name.
Okay, but I really
Mental
like
House,
I really like the style. I think
something.
the style is what makes the movie. It's the structure where it throws off a little bit. I do agree that the characters are a little bit thin, but I think I love the idea that there's not a lot of exposition, but there could be a little bit more character development. But I do believe that they expect us to do the character development. I mean, I feel like there's character development with the fucking way that the people are shot, right? And maybe I'm being ultra forgiving of the movie, but like the way a shot is lit, the way a shot is framed, on a non-speaking character. There's not a lot of dialogue in this film, especially in the first like act of this movie. There's very little. And you're just in there and there's so many quick cuts, right? Like so abrupt cuts. You don't know what the fuck is going on. They're going back, they're going forward, they're going back, they're going forward. It's disorienting at first, right? It's a little hard. It's a little challenging at first to understand what exactly is happening. But once you know what's happening, every time you watch this movie, like all you notice is just how fucking cool it is, right? But it's given us the sense of violence in the midst of sensuality. So Gavin Rossdale should be excited because there was sex in the violence in this movie. And I appreciate that. So I love the style. Structure, though, that is where it's weak. There's not a lot of character development, even though I do think they use the style to try to develop the characters and move forward the story. But it is that third act, in particular, that ending. I like the ending. I love that her old lovers come back and take her out. But how did they take her out? They throw her down a fucking staircase. That's what, like, this woman survived for thousands of years. She gets thrown down a staircase.
It's not that. It's not that. It's the fact that Susan Sarandon stabs herself in the neck, and she's a full-on vampire and throws up blood into her mouth, making the transfer. She's retransferring it. When she retransfers it, that means all of those people are free. And when she's thrown down the stairs, that's just a byproduct of what happens.
It's the rejection of her new partner, basically, that causes them to awaken and her to age like that. So it's not the fall that kills her. You're right. It's not the fall because she ages very rapidly. Man, that's fucked up. I never even thought about that.
Really?
That tacked on ending where Susan Sarandon survives then is really fucking stupid and out of nowhere then, right?
She's a vampire now. She's
the actual end of the movie should then be all dead. No, you're right. Like she throws it back up. You're right. She has now Susan's blood. Oh my God. She has Susan's human blood painting her. You're right. Okay. I like the ending a little bit better now. You know, but once again, they don't, any other movie would have had, any other movie would have brought in, Norman Reedus or some shit. Why am I thinking of Norman Reedus? They would have brought somebody in to do like a 5-minute exposition scene to explain that before, right? Just to set that up. Yeah. But no, you're right.
Yeah,
the ending does feel abrupt, though. It still feels abrupt.
It still feels abrupt.
But I love,
how did this happen?
I love the idea thematically of the ending, and we'll get to that. But what do you think about the style and structure, Jelani? And thank you for pointing that out. You're a rather astute movie reviewer. Maybe that's why we keep you around, bro.
Thanks. I do what I can. Yay. But I mean, it's all right. It's very stylish. It's hyper stylistic. When you get 20 minutes of a music video in the first part of a movie, and I'm just sitting there. First time I'm watching this, I'm watching it, and I'm like, "What? What? I mean, it's cool, sure. Yeah, concert, sure. What the fuck's happening? I don't get that part at the beginning. I watched it again, of course, to be sure, and I enjoyed it after the second time I saw it, and actually that part, because like I said, I didn't watch this whole movie throughout. Twice. I just watched parts of it again to be sure. That part's all right. I like the quick cuts. I kind of like the ancient Egyptian scene where she's like, and I think that was a slave. I don't think that was just, or not a slave, but I think that was just a consort. That wasn't a woman. That was a guy. And that was the first time she was like, I feed, and she was happy about it. So I think,
if you look at the Egyptian mythology and culture at the time, right, and think about their obsession with the afterlife and living forever, right, and the symbol of the Ankh, and I love that. I love that they don't have fucking fangs, right? And I love they never say vampire. That's another thing Near Dark does. Near Dark, they don't have fangs. They don't say the word vampire. Nope. You just know the tropes. You just know what they are. But dude, that little Ankh thing, that's I really like that. I think it's pretty dope, man.
It was like it stayed that's what she kept for all these years, and she give them to her lovers to to kill themselves.
Do you think she's got a fucking drawer filled with them?
She's like, yeah. She just has a maid. She's like, Bill, make this knife for me in the shape of an Ankh. I'll give it to my lovers. It's very it's all about the love and the loss, and the way it's shot is very sexy and to that point. It gets to those points rather quickly. Like the love scene, beautiful. Actually, you know what? That love scene's awkward as fuck. I take it all back. It's very awkward. I don't know. Like, you know how I am, guys. You know what's up. And I'm like watching it, and I'm like, it's shot weird, and it just, she goes from one scene, and they're like, she's licking on her, and then the next thing you know, she's laying on the ground and she's biting her wrist. Catherine Deneuve, by the way, never naked in this film. It really pisses me off because she's French and she's not naked in this film. All French people are naked in films.
Is that not her in the shower with David Bowie, topless?
What?
She's topless in the shower with David Bowie.
No, but you don't see nippers.
They show her naked in the bed, but the
yeah, she's naked in the bed, but you see her back. You don't see no.
You see her. You see her titties. Chest, yeah. You see her breasts in the shower with David Bowie, y'all.
You know, it's cut, dude.
I don't know what version you watched, man, but I saw her. I saw her tams in this.
I saw her things too.
Anyway, so, but
Jelani, you must have went to take a piss or something during that moment, or you were on your phone or something, man. You missed it.
Yeah, Susan Sarandon showed her tams all day. I saw Susan Sarandon all day. In fact, Deneuve was all over.
Ooh, I dropped my sherry.
No. Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off. You know want to take your shirt off. I got a shirt here.
At this time, Tony Scott was applauded by the gay community for having two of the most excellently done gay scenes in major cinema, which was this scene and the volleyball scene in Top Gun.
It's very homosexual.
Top Gun, by the way, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, I mean this in a very positive way, is the gayest movie I've ever seen, and I fucking love it.
But I don't
Holy shit, that movie is so gay. Why have we not done Top Gun? It's awesome.
I don't know. But either way, I still think it's awkward. It's just a very awkward scene. And I know what she's doing. She's biting her and transferring her blood into her. That's how she did it. And by the way, she does it just haphazardly. I really don't like that part. Something about the way she does it. She's like, oh, you're so pretty. And I just lost a lover. You look like you'd be a great lover. And like, this other girl has not fully consented. She's not in it. She's not about it. The second she does it and she realizes she can't eat steak, she's like, fuck this shit. I hate this. You know?
You're right, because like you get the sense, especially with John, that he was aware before she turns him.
He was aware.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a typical thing in all in the vampire lore. We see it in Buffy. You know, Darla tells Angel or Angelus like what's going to happen, right? Darla tells Spike that, but at the same time, there is a level of mesmerizing seduction.
She still took her without her consent for real. Like in this year, this day and age, that's wrong, man. But like,
I don't know. When Catherine opens up that door, Susan Sarandon goes, "Oh."
She's on coke. It doesn't matter. She was just like, this is a haze. I got to ask some questions. I need to know the answers to what happened to Bowie. And then she's like, come in. Ooh, Sherry. Ooh, you know, so it is too fast. And when it happens, she doesn't like it. She visibly doesn't like it. I like that. I like that characterization of it. I'm sorry, I'm talking about this instead of like the structure of the movie, but I like how she doesn't like it. Like she never liked this. This never was her life to begin with. Even at the end, that tacked on ending, which did feel tacked on, she's not supposed to be enjoying this life. You know, she's supposed to be like somewhere else doing something else. So all of a sudden, like Catherine Deneuve is dead and she is now in charge of all of her finances. And so she can broker freaking
she turned exactly into the person she killed. So what was the fucking point?
What was the point?
I like the cyclical nature of that, but it does feel like this movie would be better served if they just all die.
Yeah,
right?
They all die.
Yeah.
She did it in the neck, threw up in her mouth. The lovers push her down the stairs. She's like, "Oh God, my God!" You know,
and then they all die when she died.
They all die.
Right? Yeah, boom.
Yeah, because her blood, once she turned, it's no longer her bloodline. Once you kill the master, it's kind of like there. What is it? Once you kill the master, all the others fall.
Yeah, you kill the sire and the rest
kill the
are
sire.
healed.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, you kill the sire, it becomes all. And that's this one. But these are the worst vampires. I'm sorry, I really hate these vampires. I would never want to be this vampire. It's just terrible. But yeah, and the third act's all wonky. The mummies look decent, but at the same time, they came out of nowhere.
Well, they don't
Bowie's
come out of nowhere.
prosthetics-
It's just like it's just the movie all of a sudden is like
It's just
David Bowie's buried, Susan Sarandon, she's turned, she rejects, end of the movie. It's
Right.
just kind of like it takes so long for David Bowie, like it's so slow in its pace at first, and then all of a sudden it just speeds up like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right? And like that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest problems, I think.
And it starts when he's playing the cello and he loses his hair. He's noticing he's losing his hair and he's weaker.
I think that's a viola.
Yeah. And it's
I
a
don't
lot.
know, but I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's all in between. It's all in between.
I'm just being an asshat. I'm sorry,
But-
but I'm supposed to be on a face turn right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're doing great. But the best scenes, once again, are with the violinist girl. I love her scenes with them. It's the most human part of the movie. It brightened me up for some reason because I was like so confused in the first 20 minutes, and then you get to her lesson, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. You know, they have this young kid that's learning, you know, how to play a violin, and I did this when I was a kid, little kid. They were trying to teach me to play violin. Terrible at it. In fact, I got stories about that, but it reminded me of that too, and how people, just benefactors, just take over and want to mold and shape you. And basically, she was being groomed to be the next lover.
Yeah, because
Anyway,
David Bowie even says, "Who's next, Alice?"
Alice, yeah.
And maybe that's a motivation into killing her, but at the same
Yeah.
time, also because he needed to feed. And
He wanted to feed, but he wanted
he
to feed on
couldn't-
the young.
he wasn't
to
able to
see-
feed
maintain it.
on anybody else. Remember, he tried to feed on
Right.
that roller skater
Oh,
under the
that's right.
overpass or whatever.
That's
yeah, and he
right.
couldn't. You bit me. You cut me. What the fuck is wrong with you? And he's just like shuffling away in his old man shuffle.
I'm scared.
I think he got it in his head too that by doing that he might have reversed the process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
I think he was doing it out of spite. He's like, you know, because he knew he was going out, like he knew that he wanted to like take away her you know, her new thing and her new friend, I guess his predecessor, in hopes that maybe like that would motivate her to like try and save him more. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I took away your.
Yeah, but also there is just the idea of the hunger and the only
Yeah.
victim that he could actually have strength to do. And that's the one time in the movie
Sarandon
where
had.
we understand what the hunger means.
Yeah.
Right.
Though I do
It
think
takes over.
thematically the hunger means something more than that. Anyway, Jelani, anything else?
Oh, that's it. I mean, like I said, structurally it falls apart in the third act, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all, and
All
I
right.
understand it, and I still don't like it.
Brian, what about you? Style and structure. Go.
Well, I mean, similar. I really like the style of it. I was perfectly okay with that opening. I thought it was a hell of an opening. It was not what I expected.
Were you double checking, making sure you weren't watching like a YouTube video of like MTV from 1982 or something?
No, but it did make me think. I mean, that's the time, right? I mean, 1983. You know, I was there for when MTV started, right? You know, I remember like when it was first hitting cable and all that other stuff, and you know, like you had, you know, and I watched it all the time. So, you know, I love the intro, and it was very 80s, man, and I think that's the style too, part of that style, and it fits this kind of, the 70s were, had the recession, right? You know, it's pretty bad economically, and Reagan comes in, greed and excess becomes kind of the theme of the day, and that's what I got a lot from the style, is like trying to lean into a lot of that, kind of debauchery kind of stuff. And I think that, I mean, obviously it's aristocratic, but I mean, they're still going to clubs and killing people, fucking, I mean, like, it's got all that. I felt like that kind of feeds into the, it's not just wanting to live forever. It's wanting to live forever, young and vibrant and access to, excess and I want to say, I mean, like the, indulgent lifestyle, right? Not just, not just existing, not just an awareness in a box. But yeah, like I guess, structure. Yeah. Like right when, like when David Bowie died, I was just kind of like, it kind of reminded me of that Argento movie that was just two halves. You remember, like they even did like a flash on the screen to show you that it was switching from one to the other, one half to the other. Crap, what was that one? Tenebrae, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
No, Deep Red.
Deep Red?
Profondo Rosso.
I don't remember. Anyway, and that's kind of what it felt like.
You're not thinking of Two Evil Eyes, right?
Huh?
You're not thinking of Two Evil Eyes.
No.
Okay.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
No, but it was very it was like the writer of the book ended up being the killer.
Oh yeah, it's Tenebrae. Yeah.
Tenebrae. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like it flashed. They even visually showed you this is switching.
Got you. Okay.
That's what it felt like, and that's what the movie felt like to me. Like it just seemed to, go into this other. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just went to this other direction, but the style was still there. I was, liking the way everything looked and everything like that, and the music was great. So, yeah, I thought the ending was weak, but I was I understood what was going on, and I do appreciate a lack of the exposition in that, because it wasn't I felt like it was easy to understand what was going on, but at the same time it wasn't it wasn't just in your face and you're listening. I don't know. Yeah, I will say, like I said earlier, when you said that it was Tony Scott's first movie, that did make sense. Certain things where you could kind of tell were just not sure I would have went that route, but yeah, no, like I said, I would watch it again, and I don't do too much rewatching the movies these days, but after it was done, I was like, I do want to see that again sometime soon,
Hell yeah.
and everything. So yeah, I'm perfectly okay watching movies that are heavy on style with no, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't bother me as long as the style is awesome, and it's cool and keeps me in there. So this one did, so.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, man. Yeah, and don't forget that Tony Scott also directed a lot of award-winning commercials, including directing it was either the Navy or the Army. He directed a commercial for that caused the most recruitment in history based on a commercial.
That's
right?
Wild. That's wild.
And I think that I don't know if it was post Top Gun or before Top Gun. I don't know if it got him the gig of Top Gun or Top Gun got him that gig, but nobody else had done it that way until Michael Bay. Don't forget, Michael Bay directed join the military fucking thing. Yeah.
Yes,
so
hey, real quick, I looked some that woman you were talking about, the first victim.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's it. I looked it up. It's Ann Magnuson. She was in the band Bongwater. I don't know if you remember them from the late 80s, early 90s.
I don't know.
Man, they were weird. They were awesome. It was her and another guy, and yeah, it's fucking weird as hell. It's great.
Hell yeah. I think she's sexy as fuck in this movie
for
some reason.
But she's been in some big movies.
She's been in a lot of stuff.
I looked it up. I was like, oh, okay.
I'm going to look her up, man. It's just like when I watched Psycho 3 and I had to look up somebody. I was like, oh, holy shit, it's the chick from Slumber Party Massacre Part 2, which we're covering, by the way. Slumber Party Massacre Part 2 this year at Horrorfest. In fact, we're doing all 3 Slumber Party Massacre films, and I'm very excited for that. How about you, Fable? What do you think about the style and structure of this sexy-ass film?
I mean, I think you said it. That's the style of it. It's very sensual. It's very erotic. I love that it's bathed in sunlight, right? Which is the total opposite of what a vampire lore, whatever it would have you believe. Like, you know what I mean? When I first saw them in the sun, I was like, wait a minute. Vampires could be in the sun? Like, kind of confused me a little bit, but I went with it. And all of the sun stuff is beautiful, right? Their house is gorgeous, bathed in sunlight, their bedroom, the sheets. But then at the same time, there's a darkness below and on top of the house, right? Like the attic is very dark. The basement where they burn these people after they kill them is very dark. And And it's very cool too. A lot of the shots are very cool, like when the plastic was burning on the guy's face inside of the thing. So I liked a lot of the style. I also feel like it's a little too stylish, maybe in a lot of ways. Like you guys said, there's no exposition, but there is plenty of exposition, and some of it is really not necessary. It's like an and then movie, and then this happens, and then this happens. And when the exposition comes, where she explains, this is where we are. You're gonna know. You're gonna be hungry. You're gonna come to me. It totally explains itself. It's just
it does, but it happens later on, right? In Act 3, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to feed every 7 days or whatever, right? Like
yeah. It's just sometimes it sacrifices not necessarily exposition, but character moments for the sake of style, if that makes any sense. Like when Susan Sarandon kills her boyfriend, they do not show that.
We don't
That
show
is
it.
important to her character to show that she is going to turn on this bitch, right? Because the hunger took her over to the point where she killed somebody she actually loved. And that should have been shown. I'm sorry. And there's a lot of little things like that. Like when I said Miriam's past should have been expounded on a little more. David Bowie's past should have been expounded on. But they take it out for the sake of style. When she brings home Susan Sarandon's first victim, and she's like, what's her name? Susan Sarandon's character?
Sarah.
It's like, Sarah!
Yeah.
And it's this weird voice, and it's like, no, this is the part where she's supposed to go hog wild on this dude, right? After starving for so long. This is her first victim. These are the things that I feel like they wanted to do the Sarah, her looking up, and it's supposed to be stylish.
No, I get what you're saying. Now think about this. 10 years later, he does True Romance. You see the growth. You see the growth. He's able to then do style and character development. Yeah, that's you're right though. Absolutely. It's worlds apart, man. Worlds apart.
He learns very quickly how to put those points in the movie. I mean, even in Top Gun, he leveled up immediately. But I love the style, but I think the style hurts the structure, and I think the structure is a little off in the ways that the first act is incredibly long. The second act is incredibly short and bleeds into the third act, which is a blip. It's very fast. So I think the structure is a little off. It's a little uneven in a lot of ways. But I think stylistically, I think it's gorgeous. The movie's gorgeous.
Hell yeah.
But yeah.
I love that you mentioned he leveled up in Top Gun, which is his very next film. Top Gun is his second film. Think about that.
Very quickly.
Wow.
Like, that's crazy. He did it 3 years later because, it probably took some time.
I mean, when your brother's Ridley and,
it's true.
He just did Blade Runner, which I know Jelani hates, but there's a lot of stuff.
Why you got to bring that up, man?
But there's a lot of stylistic.
What version do I need to watch?
Blade Runner that you could tell that
cut.
Scott took a lot from in this film as far as beauty, and framing shots and stuff.
What's crazy is that both him and his brother are very meticulous with their vision, right? And very I mean, the literal vision, the way the movie looks, right? The visuals of the film. But they have both very different styles, which is very interesting to think about, right? I don't want to compare them because they make two different types of film, in my opinion. I could never imagine Ridley Scott making Top Gun or The Last Boy Scout or True Romance. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, American Gangster is pretty good, in my opinion. And that's a Ridley Scott film. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the style and structure of the film?
I like the style. It is the thing that's in the forefront of this movie is a very stylish movie. And, but structure-wise, it does suffer a little bit. It doesn't feel like it's as much about telling the story as being stylish. But, the story is very simple in its way. It's like kind of a typical, it feels kind of almost like a Tales from the Crypt kind of thing. The idea of it's kind of a horror of, eternal life, the kind of flip side of, something that seems positive, but when you really think about it more, it does have very good style. And I like that it's not too dark. It's kind of dark. And I was kind of thinking the same thing when David Bowie was out walking in the sun, like, oh, so this is one of those vampires, I guess, can walk around in the sun. But at the same time, he was kind of like covered up, so maybe it was kind of like the sun affects him, but not as like
he had sunblock on, man. And Blade showed up. Remember, that's the deleted scene. Blade shows up. He goes, "Your mascara's running."
So David Bowie's always trying to ask you uphill. But yeah, like I think, like stylistically, he did good, but as a movie, it feels a little weak structurally. Like I said, everybody's pretty much said, the third act does feel a little bit it falls a little bit flat. But it is like, I do like watching it. Like, I did enjoy watching the movie. I enjoyed it just for, kind of the aesthetics. But, it does feel like, if they'd have fleshed out the characters a little more, it could have been a more interesting movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think we all agree, basically, right? And like, style's great. Structure has some things to work out. Let's talk about the music, though. The music is done by Michael Rubini and Denny Yeager. Now, Michael Rubini is a conductor, a composer, a pianist, and there is this classical sense. In fact, they even use bits from classical pieces from Bach and other artists, right? Also, there was somebody was the music director, Howard Blake. Howard Blake was the music director for The Hunger, and he's a composer, and he does a bunch of stuff. And I'm just going to tell you this. I love the music in this fucking film, right? I'm not just, first of all, Bauhaus starting the movie with Bela Lugosi is dead. That's great. Every time they use contemporary music, it's cool. It fits that whole, it's so crazy that people at the time were criticizing it for being too stylish. And maybe the music video comparison came later because the music video was still very much in its infancy in 1983, I would say, right? But maybe that's a criticism that came later, but it was criticized for being stylish over the substance. And that there's an argument there about what you consider substance, and we'll get to that. But the music. So you got the contemporary music, you got the Bauhaus stuff, which we've talked about, but all the damn piano, violin, it has an atmosphere that it provides. It's got a moody quality that also anchors it in something classical, right? You feel the old world in this movie. Mostly David Bowie's old world. Not really necessarily Miriam's old world, right? But John's, right? But you feel this classical sense of elegance, composure, this false sense of style that I think the movie might be trying to utilize in its own style, but also with its music to make a deeper thematic resonating point. That being said, I think the music in this film is utterly brilliant and as important and as integral to this movie's impact as the style, as the cinematography, 100%. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about the music? Now you're going to go take a whiz, so run us on through when you're done, man, please.
All right. Music was okay. I hate to say this, but I barely recognized it throughout it. It was muted to me in a lot of ways. A lot of things that categorize a good score for me is I can hum it later. Or I can think about it later. Like last week with the Candyman franchise, I can hum that all day. Halloween, I can hum that all day. Even Garbage Twilight, it has a catchy tune. It does have classical elements. It is old world style, but I just did not recognize it as beautiful. Bauhaus, that music video, I mean, the song itself is fantastic. That's a great song. It was just confusing the time I watched it. It was just like, am I watching a music video or am I watching the beginning of this film? I didn't know. And so it kind of confused me and perplexed me at the same time. So I'm kind of mixed on the music. It's a mixed bag. And on top of that, it was too muted for me to really notice it. That was what I got from it. Ryan, Take us away, man. What do you feel about the music? Of course, I mean, I'm not dissing Bauhaus at all because, like I said, Bela Lugosi is dead. That's a damn good song. So, what are your thoughts on the music?
Yeah, no. Overall, I dug it. Yeah, I love the Bauhaus. Yeah, Bela Lugosi's dead, and then their album In the Flat Field, or like just I don't know, just that defines goth music for me. Is that and so yeah, that intro definitely grabbed me. One thing I did notice, it's not necessarily music related, but it seemed like the film quality on when they were showing the band in the club seemed more like a music video, but then when it would cut to the actors and stuff like that, it was more, I don't know, it had a different feel from it. That was actually a little jarring. And when they would stop the music to do those things, it was kind of, I think it was meant to do that, but it was kind of like, you're stopping the song is
Right.
what I was thinking half the time, but like, yeah, as far as the score goes, I actually agree. It was muted because like at points I was like, oh, I haven't paid attention to the music, or have they played any, but when they did the songs, other songs, like when people were playing the piano or stuff like that, those songs I thought were gorgeous.
Right.
And I think some of those were like I'm going to screw this up, but Satie, I don't know. There's like a French composer in the 20s or 30s that kind of laid the groundwork for all pop music we hear today. That was, I think one of the piano pieces was in that vein, where it's more like, it's not like a long classical piece or anything like that. They're 5-6 minute kind of things, just trying to, create like an airy atmosphere, and it was like, I like that a lot. I thought those are great choices, for those songs too. So yeah, I guess, for the score part, I guess like, I don't know. I don't have much of an impression of it. I don't remember it. I only got to watch it through once, so I didn't focus on it. I mean, I guess that does say that like there was nothing in it that just was discordant or not, like way out of line for what they're trying to do, so.
Well, a lot of the score. So there's the music, there's the bits with the piano, and there's the popular music, contemporary music, I should say, at the time. But most of the score is like, it's more like esoteric, right? It's more like it's very experimental. It's early digital, but using analog technology, and like there's a lot of like synth work, but we're not quite. It's not like or anything like that.
Yeah, on a beat, right?
Yeah, it's nothing like that. But I like it. It's not, if you just listen to the score on its own, most of it is just going to be like ambience and noise, right? Yeah. But in the movie, I think it's very effectual. What about you, Fable? What do you think about the music in the film?
For me, that's my favorite part of this film, is the music. I did love that opening song. I do agree with you, Brian, that it was cut off unnecessarily. It could have kept playing through those cuts of them taking the couple home to kill them and stuff. But I loved the song that was playing. I loved the look, that blue lighting, whatever, he's behind the gate. It takes me back to, I know this movie sucks ass, but The Howling 2. You ever seen The Howling 2?
Oh, I love The Howling 2.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a terrible movie. Your sister is a werewolf is the title of that movie. It's so stupid. I love it.
How?
What's that chick's name, man? That like
just
my over and over.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I rewinded that so many times.
You wore out the VHS, man. Your rental store was like, man, we got to get a new Howling 2. Don't worry, bro. I anticipated this. I got 5 in the back.
But yeah, I love that 80s synth pop rock stuff. But like I said earlier, I think the music colors this film a lot more deeply than the movie is actually doing itself. If that makes any sense, you know what I mean? Like when they're playing, when they're teaching Alice, that was her name, the young girl.
Yeah.
When they're teaching her, and he's playing the cello, and she's playing the violin, and she's playing the piano, there's this great sadness that shows you like these people can live at the top of society, and there's still this emptiness in them. And I think a lot of the scenes, like a lot of the horror, comes from the music. If you ask me, the sound design, there's parts like when she's in the attic with the bodies and stuff. That's not as scary as the music that's playing in it. You know
The
what I mean?
monkeys, like I love what you're saying about the sound
Yeah.
design, right? Like all
Yeah.
that shit. Like, oh, dude. And even when they're abruptly cutting off shit in that opening, like the music, they're like, what's crazy is that most of these kind of films, when they do a quick cut like that, they allow music or dialogue to carry over to make it less abrasive. Not in this one. It's literally a cut in the midst of a moment, right? And it's like so disorienting. And I think that's the effect they're wanting us to feel.
Yeah. I think the music is more outstanding than the film itself. But you know, I gotta agree with with these guys when they say there's really nothing there that'll have me like humming a tune later on besides the Bela Lugosi's Dead in the beginning. But I dig that old world shit, like that ancient, you know, that back in, you know, a time that we can't even imagine, you know. I dig it, man. I thought the sound was probably my favorite part of this movie.
I love that you guys. I mean, I appreciate that. Like everybody can hum along with Bela Lugosi is Dead. That's a great song. It's a fucking 10-minute song, by the way. So they had to do some cuts, right? It's like a 10-minute. There's a 14-minute version of it too, bruh. And if you want to, go on YouTube and search Bauhaus Coachella 2005. And they do the song, and fucking, what's the lead singer's name, Brian?
It's Peter Murphy.
Peter Murphy shows up hanging upside fucking down. He does the performance hanging upside down. What a fucking pretentious dick, man. But like, it works, man. It really works, dude. It really works. Like, he's like Michael Keaton sleeping upside down. Why? For no fucking reason. He's Batman. That's the goth sensibility, man. That's Tim Burton. That's fucking Bauhaus. That's Tony Scott. Anyway, I love that you mentioned how this music gives you the sense of emptiness.
Yeah.
I would also add to that isolation.
Yeah.
And I think emptiness and isolation are a big part of the themes of this movie. We're about to get to that. But first, Brooks, what do you think about the music?
I thought it was pretty good. I like from the beginning, like, you know, from the opening of the movie, I expected kind of more like synth pop stuff, like, you know, maybe like some David Bowie stuff. But, you know, it turned out to be a pretty traditional score for the most part, but like it's still good. Like, you know, it's a lot more subdued than I was expecting, I guess. But that kind of fits the tone of the movie because it is a more subdued movie. You know, it's not as much of an in-your-face vampire movie. It's more, you know, it's more subdued. So I guess the soundtrack kind of fit better for it. But, you know, so it was an all right soundtrack. You know, not terribly memorable. But like, you know, like you said, I think it fits well within this movie.
Something Fable said was, he said something like, you said, I agree with Jelani and Brian that like, aside from that Bauhaus song, there's not a lot to hum to. Man, I hum to that main theme all the time. The whole but at the same time, I'm now conflating it in my head with Candyman from last week, which leads me to say, don't we need more piano scores in some horror films, man? Like, because Candyman was able to use, like, Candyman, Philip Glass only used piano, organ, and a choir, and he made one of the best horror soundtracks of all time, man. And that's all he needed. We need some more. Imagine, like, I can't remember the music in any of the Conjuring films right now, but I feel like it should have more piano, right? Just solo piano. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like
especially when your main characters are tragic villains.
Yeah.
It definitely brings out the sadness in them. That's one of the best things in Candyman.
It's a sad. It's like, this is a vampire movie made for big fans of The Cure, Bauhaus, The Smiths, Smashing Pumpkins. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the movie for us. But I love that solo piano. I feel like there's some of that in Changeling, but not quite to this level. But I need to rewatch The Changeling. We haven't seen it since we covered it here on Horrorfest. All right, let's talk about the theme. Jelani, what is this movie speaking to you? What did you pull out of it?
It's unrequited love on the side of the mummies. Meaning all of the mummies, I'm assuming that they expected to live forever and love Catherine Deneuve forever. and make sure that she is I guess covered in their love. I'm assuming, and she knows better, and the fact that she knows better and she continues to keep these people, which I would have just buried her. I mean, screw it, you're dead, like you rapidly age. It's over, and I'll bury you and forget about you. But she didn't. I don't think she really loved them. She just kept them around, and they were like, I don't know, like accessories to her. That's exactly what it felt like. That's why the rush to get Susan Sarandon was so quick. She had to get her next fix, and she found out she picked the wrong one. It's unrequited love on the side of the lovers, except for Susan Sarandon, who her love of steak.
She turns that shit around.
Yeah, I'm so impressed of her love of steak. Her love of steak made her do this. And of course, killing her love of her life made her do this. But man, the second I saw that steak, which by the way, that was the best shot of steak. That was a
beautiful steak, man. That was a beautiful steak, man. It's so sexy. I was like, Susan, if you're not going to eat that,
I'm going to eat that. And the second I saw it, I was like, God dang, you can't eat that steak. I'll kill her. I will go to that house. I will kill that bitch. She will die. She will die. Like, you don't do this to me. So yeah, it's a lot of different things. And but mostly I think it's about love and the loss of love, and the unrequited love that is given, because she the reason why I say she doesn't love them is because Bowie was old and gray and falling apart, and he wanted to kiss her. She was like, no, and love is forever, allegedly. And if you love someone, you take care of them, even though they're falling apart. If they're whatever the vows are, but it is what it is. And sometimes love is fleeting. That's why she had so many lovers, and she just did not wish to. I just like saying lover, but lover.
And you know what, too? I think she could have killed them. I think she could.
Yeah, she could have killed them, and I really think she could have.
But she wouldn't.
Yeah. And she wouldn't kill them.
She wouldn't.
And I'm like, you probably need to, sis. Yes, keeping them in coffins up in the attic is probably not the best idea. Burn them. You got a whole crematorium downstairs. Burn them. You know what I'm saying? If they're ashes and burn like the Return of the Living Dead, I'd be pissed. But I can live with it. You scatter my ashes somewhere, I'm still around. Whatever. This is better. It's better than the existence of staying in a coffin. If you put me in a coffin and I couldn't, oh God, I'd still be pissed. And I can't eat steak? Hell no. I'm done. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I like that. Brian, what about you? What does this movie speak to you?
Yeah, I kind of went over, some of what I thought the themes were, like with the, not just immortality, but, living at the peak of life. And, when I was talking about the indulgent, lifestyle stuff too, I felt like that was part of why they were showing the animals too, because it was somewhat, animalistic, those are, the violence and sex and acting on impulses and stuff like that, that's kind of, that I felt like that was part of, what they were doing too. I mean, I know they had their refined atmosphere and things like that, but, at the end of the day, they were setting up all these things to, live this and, indulgent lifestyle on the Upper West Side, yeah, it's, there might, I'm sure there's deeper stuff that I may have missed. Like I said, I feel like, when it switched kind of after that first act, it was, you pointed out that there was exposition and then that reminded me of that. But I think I was just like, kind of just lost in the style at that. I was just like, not realizing that's what was, going on. Like I was so wrapped up in the style and how things were looking. Like I'm not sure like you know, how concentrated I was on, you know, a lot of aspects like that. So, but yeah, I think Robbie said it was a tragedy. I mean, actually, that is the way it's structured, though. You know, it's a, because like one thing about tragedies is not usually just one, right? It just keeps piling up, and then, you know, and then yeah, it was a weak ending with her living, but if she'd died, you know, it'd still just all been tragic, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
It's not like she won, right? I mean, you know, I mean, that's still a, you know, over time, that's going to be a, you know, somewhat, obviously it's a miserable existence if you're constantly seeking, you know, all these things, you know, the seeking the pleasure to avoid the pain is what, you know, which is, you know, kind of what addicts do, right? And, you know, the hunger, you know, kind of, you know, things like that. So.
Hell yeah. I like that. What about you, Fable? What's this movie saying to you, my friend?
Muted.
We're not supposed to tell him, Brian.
Why?
Bit.
It's part of the bit, man.
Oh, my bad.
Oh.
Bad.
It's been a while, man.
You're supposed to let him go on for a minute, then somebody goes, "Should we tell him?" That's how it works, man.
It's been a while. I'm sorry. I'll do that next time, maybe.
It's been a minute. That's
It
for
has
you
been.
old school friends, right? Or fans right there. There you
go. But yeah, man, I think it's saying a lot of things in a lot of ways, but never really fleshes out any of them. Like Brian, I think, was trying to say to some of it. I think it has a lot, you know, it's talking about immortality and things like that. And I agree with what Jelani said about love. And I think it's a lot of that too. But ultimately, to me, I think it's talking about companionship.
Yes.
And the need for companionship. Because it's cool to be rich. It's cool to live life forever. But to do it alone, it's not worth anything, right? It's just not worth a thing. And I think the hunger is that. I think that's what the hunger is in this movie, is the hunger for a companion, whether you love them or you don't, you know, which what I think Jelani touched on, like she was amused by these people and they helped her into, I guess, new ages, eras, right? Because you're like, you know, it's hard to change with the times sometimes. And she's coming from Egypt. I mean,
only David Bowie and Madonna can truly do it.
Right. But yeah, you know, the hunger's the obvious, you know, the thirst for blood. But I think ultimately this movie's the hunger. What it's really trying to say is the thirst for companionship. And I think that's what ultimately kills her in the end. Are her companions, right? So yeah, that's what I think it's trying to say.
Well, fucking said. What about you, Brooks? What's this movie speaking to you, my friend?
I think this movie's trying to say is like, you may be able to cheat death, but nobody can cheat time. It's like, you know, she's been alive all these years, but she's like time just keeps moving, like, you know, and she stays the same, but she also doesn't at the same time. And like, you know, I think that's kind of the reason that all of her companions can never last, is because, I mean, I guess they just don't have like the one thing that she has that allows her to like cheat both like death and time. But, you know, even in the end, like, you know, it's like, you know, everybody's time comes eventually. It's like, and it's the way time, like, you know, erodes away at everything too, you know, especially relationships. Like, you know, sometimes people, like when they first meet somebody, or when they first like hook up with somebody, you know, they're like, oh man, they're the greatest. Like, you know, there's like so much love, but over time it kind of like, it can deteriorate depending on, you know, reasons behind the relationship and things like that. And yeah, I think that's what that's the whole kind of theme with the husbands or the companions of her, is that, you know, she knows that eventually she's going to have to let him go, and that she's going to get tired of him, but, you know, she can't stop herself from doing it, because, you know, she has to keep going, so she feels like she needs, you know, something to keep her occupied. But, you know, it's like time just keeps on going, man. And, you know, you just got to accept it sometimes, you know. things are going to change. People you know will be gone one day, and maybe you'll be gone one day, unless you're unless you're the Catherine Deneuve style vampire, at least.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This
I love
Bowie-
what all of you have said tonight. 100%. I think you all have very valid understandings of the themes of this film. And I love this conversation. And my interpretation of what this movie means to me is always going to be colored by the comments from the creator of Chucky, Don Mancini, that he made on In Search of Darkness, because I first heard about this movie in that documentary. Cassandra Peterson just went on about how sexy and scary and sensual it was, right? But Don Mancini said this movie is terrifying to me because it's about this. And I'll paraphrase him here. I don't know if this is the exact wording. Maybe it is. The disposability of relationships.
Mhm.
And that's what's scary.
Mhm.
As soon
That
as
is what I was trying to say.
her partner is old and decrepit, she can't even bring herself to kiss him. She locks him in a box. Now, let's imagine that the townhouse that they live in, this New York City townhouse that Miriam has, is a representation of her body, right? Or you could go deeper if you want to. You could like apply things like the tree of life to it and all that kind of shit. But let's talk about what's in the attic. What's in her head? All of her lost loves. She doesn't just move on. She can't move on. And I've heard this be said, that when you love somebody and they love you and you have that connection and it ends, you will always have a part of that person within you and vice versa, right? Miriam is never able to move on from these lovers. She's kind of like self-loathing almost over the fact that this is what she does, but it's what she repeatedly does. And she puts these people in a box up there in the corners of her mind, right? And that will eventually break through, right? So what Don Mancini was saying was how scary of an idea it is to Fable. I get what you're saying, 100%. Like companionship, we have a hunger for it. That's what the hunger to me means in this movie, the hunger for companionship. But then when things don't go quite right, where you're a little too old, your hairline's receding, you got some wrinkles, maybe they voted for Trump, I don't fucking know, right? But whatever it is, you decide to cut that person out, but in a way that doesn't free them, right? And how many people have exes or are an ex who does that, right? And that's the tragedy of this film, is that I believe that Miriam 100% truly loves these people. But there's something within her that cannot tolerate them changing in any way. She wants things to be like this. That's a very vampiric idea, right? It's very much part of a theme of vampire films. We want it now, right? And there's a vampire movie by Jim Jarmusch. Oh, what's the name of that film? It's got Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton in it. Does anybody know what that movie's called? Somebody look that up, please. That movie is actually really good. Kind of touches on some of these same themes, but maybe in a little bit more of a nuanced way, but still very much a slow film. What's that? Something Young? Only the Young Die? What is that? Y'all looking it up for me? I see 3 of y'all looking it up right now. Y'all haven't found an answer yet?
I got distracted and was looking at something else.
What's the Jim
Only-
Jarmusch film with Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton?
Only Lovers Left Alive.
Only Lovers Left Alive. That's right. That
Never heard of
movie's
that.
interesting.
That's it.
It's the same thing. It's about old vampires in love that have been separated, and almost like the Tilda Swinton character in that movie disposes of him not in a box in an attic, but somewhere else. But it's like almost the same theme. And I'll point to the tagline of the film, which is "Nothing human loves forever." Right? And that's something crazy, because then think about this. Miriam, even though she's putting these people away, I do believe she loves them. She's not human. Right? But the others are. And the big fear in this movie, and it's something that sticks with me about this movie every time I watch, is what Don Mancini said. How scary this movie is to understand that as a lover, as you committing to someone, that you are like, I'm here for you till the day we die, and then to be disposed of. And we've all been there, most of us, if not all of us. That's a devastating, haunting, tragic place to be in. And you got to move on, right? And sometimes your exes don't allow you to move on. So then, and when that happens, you got to pray for an earthquake. Fucking spit blood in that bitch's mouth. Throw her down a flight of stairs.
Sometimes that is the only way.
But the disposability of relationships. That's what I think it's saying. All right, time to rate this film out of 5 possible you digs. You out there in the chat, what do you think about The Hunger? Jelani, kick us off.
It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. So I'm going to give this one. Well, our discussion tells a lot about it, but at the same time, it's still like it could have been better. Like it really should have been better.
Yeah,
for what it was. So I was gonna give it a 2.5, but I'm gonna give it a 3. I'll give it a Horrorfest bump. It's almost there. Like if they had fleshed the characters out a little more, if they had not sacrificed that structure for the style. I mean, I kind of agree with Roger Ebert in some parts on that part. It needs a little more. If it not even a few more minutes, because you can tell an entire story with a sentence. You know what I'm saying? It's something else that it's missing, and it's not heartful. And when I think my favorite character in the movie is Alice in a vampire movie. You know what I'm saying? That's really telling. That's telling to me. For a lot of different reasons. So I'll give it a 3. It's I may need to watch it again just to be sure, but I watched parts of it already just to piece it back together. So it is what it is.
All right, 3 you digs. I think that's very respectful for this film and your opinions on it. And of course, we here, if you're not aware, have the 0.5 leeway for a bump for Horrorfest. All right, we're just allowed that, right? So 3 you digs from Jelani, above average. What about you, Brian? What do you think?
Honestly, maybe this is high, but I've had 4 in my mind because I didn't like the structured things we talked about. I didn't like the lack of characterization, but I had a good time the whole time I was watching the movie. And I do want to watch it again. And honestly, listen to y'all talk about the themes and some of those stuff makes me want to watch it again more. Yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't know. Sometimes like if the style and visual things and, everything that if I like that, I can be pretty forgiving about things.
That's why you like K-pop, right?
Yeah, probably. Some of it's actually good though. So yeah, I was listening to Balming Tiger today.
Okay.
It's K-hop though, but whatever. Yeah, no, I was really glad I signed up.
K-hop, everybody.
I'm just saying.
What the fuck is K-hop?
Hip hop.
Oh my god,
it's Korean.
Right.
Hip-hop. Yes.
Continue on, Brian. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to get you to talk about the subgenres of Korean pop music, but
yeah, no worries. Yeah, you did bring up Funhouse earlier, so I wasn't going to bring it up this time because I feel like I've been hammering on it, but this was no Funhouse. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I'm
Funhouse.
glad. I mean, yeah, I feel like it
Funhouse
wasn't.
is trash.
And I
'Cause
know I've been.
y'all did not understand that movie. Okay, it went
We weren't
over your
supposed
fucking
to.
heads.
I
Yeah,
just wanted to
okay.
say, like, I
Yeah.
feel like I went
Normal
through.
people don't like Funhouse and don't talk about it.
Yo, hit me up the next time you do Funhouse. I gotta watch this.
Let's never watch this piece of shit.
We got to do another Funhouse
I just-
stream, man.
Yeah, I just feel like I've been over hard on Funhouse the past couple months. So, like, I was like
Oh,
trying to pull back a little.
Now I'd like 2 eggs over hard.
Yes. I'm glad you had it ready, and you didn't interrupt me while I was doing it. What about that bit?
fucking Jay letting us reminding us about my obsession with the waves
The
as
waves.
part of the sound design in the Limey. R.I.P. Terrence Stamp. I bet you like the Limey more now, motherfuckers, don't you? Anyway, Fable, what about you? What do you rate this film? We got a 3 and a 4 so far. What about you?
I think it's a solid effort from a first-time movie director. So I'll give it that. It is visually appealing. It's very interesting. There's a lot of good ideas here, and I don't mind, some titties. Had some titties in here. Some
I dropped my beer on my titty. Fucking Fable.
Keep
I like
Take
the
off your
music.
shirt, Robbie.
Keep on. Keep on.
I like the music. I like it. I like it a lot. I guess my issue is that I've seen a better version of this movie, and the better version of this movie is one of my favorite movies, and that's Interview with a Vampire with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. Every theme in this movie is explored in that movie to a much better degree. Like all the emotion, all the feels, even the style, even the music is all done in that film. The companionship, the immortality, the dropping of companions, things like that, taking people into a new era. Everything's explored in that movie, and that's probably more my fault than this movie's fault, right? Like if I saw this back in '82, I might have had a higher opinion of it. But because it's a solid effort, because I think it's beautiful, because I think Tony Scott definitely shows promise here, I'm going with Jelani and saying that it's a mixed bag, and I'm going to give it a 3.
Hell yeah. 3 you digs, very respectful for your opinions on this film. And I do agree that I think Interview with the Vampire, the film, is a little bit better. But man, Near Dark is dealing with some of the same themes too, right? And out of those 3 movies, I would say Near Dark's my favorite. Though Interview with the Vampire's got the better ending out of all 3 of the films.
But
right?
You know what it is too? I've read the Anne Rice novelizations, and I think that book was such a phenomenon when it came back in the 70s. It sparked a lot of Me Too's, and I think The Hunger's one of them, because the book came out in '81. And this movie was shortly made two years later. So I think a lot of what she did inspired a lot of this like gothic vampire opulent.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Living through the ages companionship theme that even like Twilight fucking to me like
for sure.
takes off a little bit.
And The Hunger is actually at this really crucial point where goth music and goth storytelling start really meeting and creating basically a new subgenre, right? Of goth horror music and movies, I guess. I don't know. All right, a 3 you digs from you and Jelani, and a 4 from Brian. What about you, Brooks? What you sitting on?
Yeah, I'd give this one a 4 too. I think it's above average. Like it was an interesting movie. Like I did like watching it, and it wasn't quite what I expected, which was nice. I always like when a movie surprises me, and I do like the style, but I can see like it not being everybody's cup of tea. Like it's definitely not something you would recommend to somebody's like first vampire movie for sure. But like if somebody is into more like vampire movies, like it's one I would recommend. Like if you're into vampire movies, because it's an interesting enough take on it, and I think the performances are good, even if the characters are a little bit shallow. So yeah, I think 4 is a respectable score for this movie.
Hell yeah. I'm right there with Brooks and Brian. I'm going to give it a 4. And I'm not even giving it the Horrorfest bump. That's honestly what I would just give this film, which is a 4. If I wanted to give it the Horrorfest bump, I'd give it a 4.5, but I'm not going to do that because I'm trying to be a little bit more authentic, honest, and real here on the channel.
You do that.
And a little bit less heelish, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, moving on. I think the movie's brilliant. I think its style is so strong. I think its themes are so strong. I think its music is so strong that this, to me, the slight problems I have with some of the structure, some of the character development get overshadowed by everything else. So to me, I think this is 4 straight up. So a 4 from me, Brian, and Brooks. There's 2 Brians here tonight, and a 3.5, or a 3, my bad, a 3 from Jelani and from Fable. That's a PCP average of a 3.69, dudes. And I think this movie deserves the 69 because it is sexy. I am sorry. It really
No one can get it. That's weird.
And I was watching Rob Servations did an episode, right? Not Rob Liefeld's show, but the Rob Burnett, is that his name? He's part of the John Campea show. I follow John Campea and I follow
John Campea. Oops, sorry.
It's not like he's a police officer. Anyway, so but he was talking about the importance of, like, he feels like we've lost eroticism in film, right? He was saying if you're 12 years old today and you want to see a boobie, you can see a boobie like that. But when we were 12 years old, we had to wait for something like The Hunger to show up on Cinemax or HBO or something like that, right?
Hey, that girl's kissing that girl. What the heck?
Monster Squad, this ain't. But yeah, I think I love this film. I think we've had a great conversation. Thus ends our review of The Hunger, part of Horrorfest. We are not going to be here next week on Monday night. Monday night is Labor Day, but I'll also be in New York, actually in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium watching Oasis. So I'm very excited for that. But we're not going to miss out on week 3 of Horrorfest here at PCP Movie Night because we started Horrorfest. We are Horrorfest. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to have a special Friday night show at 8 p.m. Central Time where we're going to be talking about humanoids from the deep. Y'all, we've done Candyman. We've done something like The Hunger. It's time to go into the gutter and talk about a sleazy, cheesy, shitty-ass movie that I adore, Humanoids from the Deep, produced by one Roger Corman. So that will be not next Monday, but on Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time. So get ready, and I'm still trying to get people to be on the show. Nobody volunteered to be on this show. So if you want to be on a PCP Movie Night, reach out. I got room for Humanoids from the Deep. All right.
Is it streaming?
I don't know. I have it on Blu-ray.
Probably shouldn't figure it out right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can look. I mean, I should actually know if it's streaming before I announce it to let the audience know where they can watch it. So while we go through this round of final thoughts, I'll look it up. How about that? Jelani, thank you so much for being here. Final thoughts. What's going on with you?
So glad to be here. You know, all the usual stuff. The Hunger is. I may have to watch it again. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't get it, man.
It's on Prime Video, Brian.
Yeah. Prime Video. But yeah, Brooks and I did this show. It's a show and tell. For you know, times we don't do show and tell anymore. It is called Go Figure Reviews, and we did a video recently of Skell-Rob, the Master of the Universe X Thundercats mashup. It is Skeletor with Mum-Ra's powers from the ancient spirits of evil. So,
The rest of Wave 1, by the way, arrived today, y'all, just so you know.
all right, we're getting those. We're totally getting those and reviewing them.
Wave
So
2 will be
this
here
is our
next
first
week.
one, so we will do the others as we get them. And super excited for those. And also, we had another video of the Street Fighter Alpha 3 from Studio Arena. It is the Ken Masters figure. This is rivaling the Jada Toys Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter figures. And I think this one might edge it out. I don't know, but check out the video. We are so happy that we are almost at. We're really close to 800 subscribers. We're getting there. So thanks, guys, so much for that. Keep liking, sharing, subscribing to us, and check us out. Go Figure Reviews.
Hell yeah! What about you, Brian? Man, final thoughts? What you got?
Yeah, I'm just awfully glad to, I got some space, to get back and hang out with y'all doing shows. My schedule's still pretty chaotic, so I can't sign up for too much necessarily, but yeah, it's been great getting back into things, and most of my free time is spent like reading comics, and then I keep up with some shows and stuff like that. So it's one thing that I've missed really is movies, but I've gotten to see a couple recently, and I've been making space to try to get some movies in and stuff like that. So even went to see Superman and Fantastic Four.
Oh, wow.
Like I hadn't been to the theater in quite some time, and went twice in 2 weeks. It was good. Enjoying it.
Yeah,
So,
but they didn't have Susan Sarandon titties in that movie.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
Right.
And they both suffered for that. I mean, there's a lot of uproar in the media about how woke everything is too. And,
Yeah, luckily Cracker Barrel
that in there.
Luckily Cracker Barrel took all the fucking onus away from them, right?
Yeah, they did.
That's right.
They did. Yeah.
Dude,
if you think it's
why
bad
do
now,
so
just
many
wait a
people
week.
give a shit about Cracker Barrel all the time? They're
I
making
don't.
the same meatloaf. They're making the same country fried steak. Man, get the fuck out of here. Y'all
Yeah.
ridiculous, man.
It's what
but
we
it
care
feels
about
different.
now, dude. Logos.
Yeah, it's the logo.
Nobody cares about the quality of the meatloaf, Robbie.
The dude and the barrel are gone, man.
The Cracker in the Barrel. were
The
gone.
sign says "Don't
Yeah.
touch
They took
Dennis."
the
That's what I
Cracker
feel like
and the
every time I pull up into a Cracker Barrel. I think the sign
not
says
talk
"Don't
to
touch Dennis." No,
Not
don't talk to Dennis.
Dennis.
Yeah, don't
Pancakes.
talk to Dennis.
Pancakes. They serve those.
Fucking cabin fever, y'all. All right. Thank you, Brian. It's been great to have you here tonight. Looking forward to your reappearance on a Horrorfest soon that you don't even remember that you signed up for, but I'll let you know. What about you, Fable? Final thoughts? I know you got you got the Lame Fable returning in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah. Well, just a few final thoughts here. First, thank you, Robbie, for having me on, man. I love doing these Horrorfest shows with you guys. This was a good one to see. I've always wanted to see it, so thank you for that. Shout out to Chill Out Man in the chat, who said that he wanted to watch this movie, but he got hungry instead. So Chill Out Man, thank you for that laugh, because you got the hunger for real, and I love it, man.
I missed that one, man.
Yes.
Jay, I have not watched the show of Interview with a Vampire. I'm kind of scared to. I have a big reverence for that series, so I hope that it's good. If you tell me it's good, I'll watch it. What else here? Yeah, Blame Fable's coming back. I was gonna do it on the 5th. Thank God I didn't do it, because you're doing Humanoids from the Deep on the 5th at 9 p.m. So I dodged the bullet with that one. And two reasons, Robbie. One, I did Humanoids of the Deep on Dylan's horror show, and I did not enjoy myself watching that movie.
Yeah, I know.
Jeez.
And plus I'm starting a new job, so I kind of like want to keep,
Good
stay
job,
off
dude.
of the tubes to, get my head clear before I start this new thing. But I don't know. I still might join it.
I don't know. That's a long ass way of saying you're too pussy to do it, man. But it's
I
all
knew
right.
you were gonna say some shit like that. Yeah, Blade Fable
Trust
will
me,
be
if
back.
you like the movie on this show, anybody, I will not be offended. It's not a funhouse situation. I'm expecting, I told you last night, I was like, I cannot wait, because Brooks is gonna hate this fucking movie.
Wow.
Watch Brooks be like, I really liked it.
Yeah. Not only did he really like it, but he'll pull out some esoteric theme out of it that nobody was thinking of.
Yeah.
But yeah, Blade
The movie
Fable
is
will be
about
back.
world peace and brotherly love.
I'll be back on the 12th. Maybe, hopefully, Robbie, you can join me on the 12th, but I'll be back on the 12th with the Blame Fable show. And this October, I will be starting my portion of Horrorfest 2025. Our first movie up will be Pitch Black. I have these two fine gentlemen, Brooks
A good
and
one.
Jelani, joining me. because on our Chronicles of Riddick review, they were just constantly going talking about Pitch Black, how much better it was than the Chronicles of Riddick. So I had to do it. But let me tell you guys, Chronicles of Riddick is almost at 3,000 views, guys. That's wild. So
Fuck,
maybe
you're beating out Hard Target right now, man.
Yeah.
There might be a lot more fans for the Chronicles than you think there are. But yeah, man, thanks again, guys, for having me on. It's always a blast doing these things. That's my final thoughts. Love you guys. Station, man.
Yeah, love you too, bro. What about you, Brooks, man? Final thoughts?
Yeah, I made it out of the mirror dimension, but now I'm in the vertical dimension. Who knows what next time? Maybe I'll be in the upside down. Who knows? But,
I really hope that next week Brooks is showing up upside down, all dark, with like shit dandruff floating around in the air.
whatever dimension I'm stuck in, I'll always make it out because I'm a true rider that way. So it doesn't matter. From the depths of hell, I'll claw my way into this review because that's the most important thing.
You're right, and I appreciate that. So next Monday we will not be here, but the following Friday, not next
This
Monday,
Friday?
but the next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, Humanoids from the Deep. However, Horrorfest continues tomorrow night, tomorrow night on Dylan's Horror Show. They're going to be talking about Wolf Creek, and on Thursday, how about a Christmas movie? Some Christmas cheer for Horrorfest over at Blood Splatter Chatter. Verno and the gang are going to be talking about Black Christmas. So Wolf Creek and Black Christmas to continue week 2 of Horrorfest, and then we'll end week 3 of Horrorfest next Friday with Humanoids from the Deep. All right, we love you. Station, pop, pop, boo, and remember, nothing human loves forever. I got to hit another button, too. I thought I just had to hit one. It's 2. Nothing human loves forever.
Willem Dafoe!
Willem Dafoe!